Hey guys, this is Ben back for my review of Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. This is the 7th installment into the Mission Impossible franchise, once again being directed by Christopher McQuarrie. He directed the last 2 films in the series. Ethan Hunt and his IMF team embark on their most dangerous mission yet, to track down a terrifying new weapon that threatens all of humanity before it falls into the wrong hands. Coming off the heels of Top Gun Maverick, Tom Cruise is back with another action-packed summer blockbuster. So today I'm gonna let you know whether or not it's worth a watch. But before I get into my review, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our future uploads. And let me know down in the comment section below what your favorite Mission Impossible movie is. I want to know. Now, the Mission Impossible franchise is a really interesting one for me because it's one that I think has gotten better with each new installment. I think Mission Impossible 3 is better than 1 and 2. I think 4 is better than 3. I think 5 is better than 4. And I think 6 is the best of the whole franchise. And honestly, a perfect action movie. So I had very high expectations going into this movie. I was very, very excited to see what they were going to do in this one, and I was not disappointed. This movie is a lot of fun. So as always, let me start off with the things that I liked about this movie. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 is another thrilling addition to the franchise that delivers on everything you really want in a summer blockbuster. It has the exciting action. It has a compelling mission and story to it. It has great characters, fantastic set pieces and locations. It kind of has it all. The mission this time around centers on an AI, which is, of course, very timely and relevant right now. And I found that the way they used AI as a villain to be very interesting and compelling. It's not something that I've seen done in many films before, many action films, using AI as the antagonist in the way that this film does. And I thought, like I said, it was very relevant and timely, kind of scarily relevant. The mission was consistently entertaining and fun. It had clear objectives. It had a nice mix of beautiful locations and action sequences to keep you very entertained. It's over 2.5 hours long. It's actually pushing 3 hours long, but you don't really feel it. The plot had a nice driving momentum to it, allowing it to never feel stagnant. At this point in the franchise, there are just so many different characters and storylines to juggle. You know, you have all the returning characters, but you also have a bunch of new characters they're introducing and these new story elements. But I thought this film did a good job at balancing it in a way that honored the old films. You know, if you're coming into this film as a fan of the series, you're gonna have a great time seeing all of your favorite characters come back. But if you're brand new to this series, you can jump right in. Every character is given proper screen time. They're given their moment to shine while allowing the series to expand and grow as well with a lot of these new characters. Speaking of the cast, they're all great. Tom Cruise continues to impress with the lengths at which he will go to deliver on an incredible stunt. He's a madman, but I respect his dedication so much. Hayley Atwell plays a new character named Grace, and I thought she was fantastic. She plays off Tom Cruise very well, and I hope that she remains a big part of this franchise going forward. Pom Klementieff, who plays Mantis in Guardians of the Galaxy, also has a role, a bit of a smaller role than you may expect in this film, but she was very good with her limited screen time. I love seeing her pop up in new things. Now let's talk about the action, because that's a big part of these movies. And what I love most about these movies is that they're done practically. Tom Cruise is doing all of his stunts. He is actually hanging onto a plane. He is actually flying a helicopter. He is actually jumping from building to building. And you feel it. And that allows the stakes to feel real, the danger to feel real. It just separates itself from a lot of the other blockbusters that we get nowadays, where the action sequences just feel computer generated, shot on a soundstage. Not in these movies. They are on location, they are doing the stunts, and I love it. Now, interestingly, in the third act, they decide to do a big action sequence that was very clearly shot on a green screen and with the use of CGI, because it's something that they could not have done practically. And it kind of sticks out like a sore thumb in this franchise, especially when you look at the past couple of films and what they've been doing when it comes to stunts. It's not bad by any means. It's honestly better than like 90% of the blockbusters we see nowadays. but it was very obvious. Now, like I said, Christopher McQuarrie is back as the director, and I think he did a very good job with this movie. Right from the opening scene, McQuarrie directs with such energy and intention. I really love how he moved the camera throughout, allowing all of the scenes to feel really dynamic, even if it's just a scene with a couple of people talking to each other. He moved the camera in a way that allowed it to stay fresh and stay interesting. And finally, I appreciated how much this film felt like its own complete, satisfying story, while also still very much so being a part one. There is resolution to a specific plot point and conflict that's happening throughout this movie, but it sets the stage for what's to come. There's still an overarching conflict still at play when this film ends. And I think it's gonna work really well as a complete set when part one and part two are out. But this one, more so than some other films that have come out recently, did very much so feel like its own story. So yeah, this is another great Mission Impossible film. It has all of the stunts and the globetrotting that you want from these movies. It's honestly incredible how good these movies still are. 7 films in. We are 7 films in, and it is still just firing on all cylinders. Now, with that being said, I did have some problems with this movie, so let's move on to the bad. So even though I do think this is another very good Mission Impossible film, I don't think it's one of the best, and I don't think it's quite on the same level as a couple of the most recent Mission Impossible films for a couple of reasons. One reason being the overall flow. I found that at times it would get bogged down in some repetitive exposition scenes. We would have an exciting action scene, and then we would have a scene right after where a bunch of our characters gather together and kind of dump exposition and plot points, setting up the overall conflict and mission. Now, it makes sense to have those scenes, especially with this being a part one. You need to set the stage for what's to come. But whenever it started to have a nice flow to it, we'd have one of these scenes that would bring it to a little bit of a halt. Also, another issue I had with this movie was that I think it was a bit overlong, and I think that there were quite a few scenes that could have been trimmed down. Scenes that could have been just as effective if they would have just shortened them a bit. Especially, this is something I noticed, especially in the first half of the movie. And finally, while there's still some great stunts, don't get me wrong, I don't think the stunts were nearly as impressive as some of the most recent films, which is actually a little bit surprising to me. All of the stunts in this one can be seen in the trailer, and there wasn't anything else in the film to really surprise me. Now, of course, I don't expect every one of these movies to outdo the last. That's not what I'm looking for. It doesn't need to outdo the last to be a good movie, but Fallout set a pretty high precedent for what these movies can accomplish. The masterful mix of different mind-blowing stunts, and this one just wasn't on the same level. It wasn't. There are some great stunts, don't get me wrong, but there was less of them, and they were a little bit less impressive. So don't expect this to be like the best entry into the franchise. Don't expect this to be on the level of Fallout, because Fallout is just like I said, a perfect action movie. This is not. I do have some problems with this one, but all these things are easily outweighed by the positives. This is a very fun film, a great time at the theaters, and honestly, better than 90% of the action films that we see today. So that is it for my review of Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. This is such a fun movie. Definitely go and check it out when it releases in theaters July 12th. Thank you guys so much for watching this review. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate all of your support. And if you want to check out more of our reviews here on the channel, you can click on either of the video icons right over there. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. See ya.